Sponsored by True Tech Tools. Quality tools, essential support. TrueTechTools.com.
Good morning, YouTube. It is about 6:45 a.m. on March 24th. This morning we're starting with a indoor TXV on a new temp evaporator coil with a Rheem 2-ton condenser running R22. So I'm just leaving my house and I'm headed to R.E. Michael Company because that's the go-to place around me for Rardon stuff, and that's where we're going to start the day off with, and I don't know quite what we're going to do after that. But anyway, stay tuned and we'll bring you along for the ride. We're pulling away from R.E. Michael Company and headed to Cary, North Carolina. We've got a TXV and a filter dryer. Realistically, that should be all the parts we need for this, beyond the potential that we may end up having to do something with a piece of duct.
In 900 feet, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto Olympia Drive.
Shut up. When I was there the other day to do maintenance on it, I had checked the static pressure, and we had like 0.65 return static and a 0.4 supply static, so we had over a whole inch of static on the system. And the customer was kind of weird about letting me in the house. Didn't say I couldn't go in, but every time I mentioned maybe adjusting the thermostat or checking the filter, he took it upon himself to tell me the filter was dirty and do the adjustment himself. So I haven't seen the filter or the inside, but I should be able to get into the attic today.
Make a U-turn and proceed to try
and confirm if there's any issue with the duct. I would have liked to do it at that time, but whatever. It's not like the unit was working properly in the first place. So anyway, I'll quit talking for now, and we'll check in when we get there. Stay tuned.
I watch the morning rise, through a cold, cold rain. I watch the blackbird as he flies. Is he broken like me? And so I pray.
All right. So we're going to start off by pumping down the condenser, and once we get that, we'll finish or get into the closet and get that finished up. So these suckers can be aggravating to try to work on, especially when it comes to getting your quarter removers on there for vacuum. I think it was Eric M. that had pointed out this little trick of pulling the valve assembly away a little bit. Since the sporlins are kind of fat in the head, I like to give myself a little bit of room there so I can get those in there without fighting them too much. And the liquid line is still a little bit annoying, but not too bad. Alright. So we've got sporlin, alrighty, 97 PSI. And just because we've had a little bit of suggestion that maybe this is a good idea, we'll use a screwdriver instead of my finger. Alright, I'm going to leave a couple PSI on it and pull the disconnect. Alrighty, so that's the pump down. We'll go inside and take the coil apart to get to the TXV. Alright, there's our furnace, there's our coil. So this is kind of aggravating the way they do this. The coil is right behind that door. So it also looks like I may be well off relocating the sensing bulb for the TXV. Doesn't look like the greatest location that they've mounted it. But it is a R410A TXV, so regardless of where the location was, it's not going to work with R22. So give me a second and I'll get this taken apart. That makes life a whole lot easier. I think I'm going to get rid of this because it's junk. And it looks like they have soldered the equalizer pressure tube on the side of the TXV up here on the suction header. I believe the new TXV has its own suction line tap in the kit for the TXV. So we'll probably just plug that in a spot, solder that up, and put it somewhere else. Not a whole lot of room to work on this sucker. Oh, that's nice. They put the freaking screw at the back to tighten that sensing bulb up. Alright, I'll go get a screwdriver. No? Maybe? I'm working blind here because I can't see the back of the screw. Turned a bit. Why does the phone have to ring when I'm busy? Yellow. No. Yeah, Mr. Whitehead. No problem. Bye. Got it loose enough that I can get a little bit of movement out of it, but it's still fighting me. There we go. Yeah, that sucker's not going back where it came from. It's going to go somewhere a lot easier to access. I'm really not a fan of these clamps for TXV bulbs. They just are annoying. Alright, so that's that. And not sure how I want to deal with that, but for now we'll take that. don't know if I'm going to be able to solder that spot back there. So, despite seeming like a bit of a hack job, break it there and solder it closed. And if you look here, R410A. So we'll get the new valve and see if we can find a spot for everything to go back. Oh, that is pretty. That is just beautiful, isn't it? Look at that prettiness. That is beauty. Beauty if I ever saw it. Looks like they closed it off, but definitely not pretty. Alright, so I'm going to cut this here and run the equalizing tap outside and then put the sensing bulb up here. Alright, so this seems kind of ridiculous. They give you 2 reducing bushings and a 7/8 T instead of 3/4 fittings. Don't really have a whole lot of space to do anything much different, so I'm going to cut it right in here and then see what we have to do to get it to work. That definitely seems excessive, but I don't have enough copper there to do anything much different. And since my Matchbox truck is so small, I don't have a whole lot of options to do anything different. I don't have any copper to play with or anything, so if there was a little bit more pipe here, I might be able to swage it so that it would reach that better. But I really don't want to have it inside where it's impossible to get to because of this fitting tying into the door. So it is what it is. You gotta do what you gotta do. I really don't like it when the valve turns. I really don't. Should be good. It's not too twisted back here. It's not too much of anything. I really don't want to put that door on until I've soldered that nipple and everything else. So I'm gonna keep that bulb as far away as possible. Let's set up the nitrogen and do that. Let me go ahead and get ready for my filter dryer while I'm at it. Yeah, let's do it that way. Let's drop it on the floor. Well, I can't do that because as soon as I do that, I can't put the door on. I think this is a very poor design. But anyway, I'm going to set up nitrogen, solder up this stuff, and see how that goes. Hole. Take this to the other side. Bring that piece out through the front. See if we can find all our other parts wherever they went. Where did they go? Never had that problem before, have you? Where you lose your parts? Alright. I don't see how that really has to be ridiculously tight. So I'm not going to make it ridiculously tight. Grab that. See if we can get this sucker to tighten down a bit. I'm going to sweat this loose and spin it independently. So that it points the way I want it to. I'm trying to straighten that ugly ass mess up. I end up cutting it short to fit our dryer in there. Yeah, we got gas coming out. We'll leave it. We'll hit that again once we get the dryer in place. That should be enough for now. The point is that it doesn't rub on that opening in the cabinet. Should be good. And then we'll do the dryer up to here. Peel this insulation back a little further so it won't make a black smoke. Nitrogen is still flowing. I have to hit that one again. That one looks good too. Alright. That's tight, that's tight. Everything else inside is tight. Alright, we're going to pressure test and see how that goes. So once I'm done with my pressure test, I'm going to pull vacuum. So go ahead and put my T-valves in there. One second. Aggravating to get to. Take it to a little over 100 psi. Watch it for a bit. We're at 108 and change. We'll see how that goes. We've moved a couple of tenths, but we're still holding what I would call an acceptable pressure test. So we'll go ahead and pull the vacuum. So I recently got the micro blue vac where I'd been using the standard blue vac micron gauge, and you can see that device takes up a good bit of space.
And this one, the micro blue vac, is a lot smaller. So I figured I would run both of them on this system just to see how they compared. So here goes. Both micron gauges woke up at about the same level, and the micro blue vac is on the outlet side. The ball valve for that one is open, so it's reading a lower microns than this one right now because I've got that valve closed. I'll switch them. That one's reading just under 600 already, and this one's at 1800 with the valve closed. We'll open it back up, let them both read what the vacuum's pulling from the tip, and let it run for a little while. But as you can see, that blue vac, the original blue vac, is under 500 already, and this one's not far behind. We'll let them both run for a bit and we'll be right back. So one minor difference that I'm seeing at this point is that this one does, the micro blue vac does not have a progress or leak rate indicator on it. It just shows you where your microns are. So it's a little bit simplified from the original blue vac, which has a leak rate up in the top right corner, and it also gives you your scale along the bottom. You know, the scale along the bottom to me seems kind of unnecessary. You can see your microns on the screen, so why do you need a scale? But the leak rate is always nice because you can tell when your vacuum is actually stalled and not making any progress. But that one, the original blue vac, is at 295, 296, you know, stalled in that space. This one's reading 264. I'm going to valve the core tools off, isolate my vacuum, and see where they rise to. This one's showing 257, 256. This one shows 295, but with the indication of the leak rate, you can see that it's slowly falling. So I guess the short term, or the quick review, would be that the micro blue vac is definitely affordable and compact, but there are some features that you will lose over the original blue vac gauge. It's got the same basic resolution. It doesn't show tenths of a micron, at least at this level. It might show tenths once it drops below 100, but very unlikely that you'll get below 100 on most systems. But I would say that at 291 on that scale and 254 on this scale, we're definitely good on the vacuum. I'm going to go ahead and release the charge, and we'll get to starting this sucker back up again. Alright.
any recording on some of this, but we got the TXV bulb outside the cabinet. We'll tape all this up. We'll silicone the holes so that they don't leak, and we'll get it started up. Alrighty, we got the system jumped out to run in cooling. We've got the return side of the manometer connected to the return plenum down there, and right now we are running 0.63 return static. Go into the measurements menu, go to static pressure, activate the return, capture the return, activate total external, and then connect the supply side of the manometer. Once it buffers out, we don't see a big change, so we're going to just connect supply static by itself since we've captured return. Don't remember the details of this one, but I think there may have been ridiculously low supply static. No, we've got almost half an inch on the supply. We'll capture that, and when you capture return individually and supply individually, it will automatically calculate total external. So we got 1.1 inches on the duct system. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and turn the unit on just to see what it does, and then we'll look at the ducting and see what that does, or what the ducting looks like. We're going to have to get up into the attic for that, and there's a bunch of boxes in the way. So here goes. Here goes nothing. I'm going to let it run for a minute or two, see what it looks like. Sounds like crap. So we got 63 psi, 35.6 degree coil, 17 degrees of superheat, 15 degrees of subcool, 152 psi, and an 84 degree condenser. Right now we're showing a 25 degree split. $66 degree return, 40 degree supply. Alright, so we've got 14-inch downstairs in the utility space, and it does not look like
the duct gets changed anywhere. It looks like it does a nice job of swooping around. No crushing sections or pinches. So I'm gonna see if we can pull that filter out and see what the static does at that point.
Air conditioning, as you can probably tell, is home. It's set at 69, but
Yeah.
inside temp is 67.
Right. I forced it on from outside or in the utility room. Alright. So just wanted to show you the way that this changes. So this is the differential pressure that I was talking about on the ductwork.
Right.
Right now it's at 0.734.
So it's still measuring from in here?
Yeah. It communicates wirelessly to a unit I've got measuring the duct pressure. So 0.725 roughly. If we put the filter back in.
Did I have it in correctly?
Yeah, that'll be all right.
On 877.
Goes to 877, 896. Over 9. My recommendation would be to use a cheaper filter.
Really?
This filter is really good for air filtration,
Right.
but it's not very good for allowing the system to breathe freely. And you got to find a happy medium. About the only way that we could still use this filter and not have high static pressure would be to actually put a second filter somewhere else in the house so that you had more air movement space, and the restriction that the filter offers now would be less because you'd have more surface area.
That would be an expensive.
It would be, and a cheap filter is a lot simpler to do.
Right.
I'm going to see if I can make an adjustment to the blower a little bit to see if I can get that static to come down a little, so that maybe even with a cheaper filter it'll be under that 0.725. If as long as everything else doesn't go out of whack by changing the blower speed, then we'll adjust the blower speed and make, recommend that you definitely downgrade your filter. For now, I'm going to pull this out for a while I'm continuing my testing, and we'll put it back in before I'm finished. Okay? If we can leave this here for now, that'd be great.
We will. I'm going to put the filter up somewhere the dog can't get it.
No problem. With no filter in, we're at 0.322 on the return. We'll capture that. We'll switch to supply. Activate that. So it's not really a surprise to see the supply increase as the return decreases. We're at 1/2 inch on the supply. So basically 1/10 of an inch higher on the supply because we dropped the return 1/10 of an inch. We'll capture that. We got a 0.874. I can't find the installation instructions. But I'm gonna
adjust the blower speed on what seems to be a logical process for adjusting it, but I got to turn power off, so I wanted to get my report before I did that. At least one report. I guess if power's off, I don't have to get into the blower. So what we have in here are some switches. Not 100% sure how to make adjustments to them, but over here to the right, you probably won't be able to see it even if I get my face right up on it, but we've got high, medium, low, and low. So I'm going to hope that taking that switch to medium high, medium low, and low is how you would make your blower adjustments. And I believe this fan pin setting on the side, I'll take a picture so I can throw it up on a screenshot here. Anyway, the piece on the left looks like it's probably constant fan speed adjustment, and then you got cooling and heating. So we changed it to medium high. I'm gonna actually go turn the condenser off so that we can just look at duct static rather than continuing to freeze the house. We'll get cooling fan speed because it is jumped out to run cooling, but shouldn't have the system running and cooling because the charge is good by my judgment. So medium high currently running 0.88 on everything, and that's with no filter. It's coming down some. When I first checked the system, it was actually running 7.2 amps on the blower motor. I'm going to double check my email again and see if I've got that installation instructions from the supply house. He said he was emailing it, but I haven't got it yet, which is odd. Yeah, I don't see it. Alright. We're just over 0.8. Well, we're fluctuating. I'm going to take it down to medium low. And just see if that makes much difference. It does have model number indication that it is a 2-ton drive on the blower. So I'm kind of a little bit concerned or confused, I guess is one way to put it, as to why these blower tap changes aren't making more of a difference. I certainly don't believe that low is a good idea. I'm going to grab my meter and see what we're outputting on, because I'm pretty sure these are my blower taps. Get neutral. 121, 144, 156. So there's power on all of those taps at all the time from this perspective. Let's see what our amp draw is now. Yeah, we're not getting any better blower draw. So it really doesn't seem like it's doing anything to change the blow taps. Which is aggravating. Alright, well, if that's not making any difference, I'm going to go ahead and put it back where I found it until I have more information. But I think a less expensive filter, something with a little bit more free space on it, is definitely going to be a benefit to him, regardless of whether blower taps make much difference. Where is my stinking screwdriver? Alright, so that's it. We'll recommend lower grade filters to try to get that static down a little bit, but not much sense in spending much more time on this one. We got the refrigerant charge under control, and you know, lower grade filters and probably some ductwork at one point would be advisable. So we'll leave him his options and let him decide. He's, you know, definitely going to be more efficient with the proper refrigerant metering going on than he was before. I feel like that.
Onto Old Apex Road.
Hush up. I feel like that went really well. I was a little bit surprised that I didn't have to make any significant refrigerant charge adjustment, but
in 3/4 of a mile at the roundabout, take the second
with my pressures right on target, I'm comfortable leaving a 15 to 16 degrees of subcool with a 15 degree superheat. I don't think there's any potential for damage for sure, and I think it's running very well. So that's all done. Next up, we've got a Angie's List tune-up. I don't know that I'll bother putting any video on it unless I run across something interesting. So stand by and we'll see what we run into. Well, that was about as boring as I would have expected it to be. Just a tune-up on a 2-ton gas pack, 2008 Duquesne. Last year in July, I
turn
had
right onto Piedmont Drive, then turn right onto Tron
I had done a cooling checkup there, and they needed refrigerant at that time to get the charge on right. System's losing about 1.5 pounds since then. Gassed it up one more time, gave them the recommendations, and leave it in her ballpark. So anyway, headed to another tune-up, and that one probably won't be worth watching either.
3/4 of a mile. Turn
But
right
I'll turn on the
onto
camera if it gets interesting.